Legacy, it's Steve Whitty here. It's been a couple of weeks since my last video. I hope everyone is well. This could be a long video. You may guess from the title, it's sort of like listening hard and heavy. It's basically, I'm showing off the hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it, vinyl I've been listening to over the past few months. And there's quite a bit of it. Sort of sneaked, gone back into a little bit of a rock and metal phase, amongst other things, which is not a bad thing because that's what I used to listen to a lot of in my youth. So, without further ado, because I've got a fair few to show the first one in the hard rock vein, and this is AC/DC's Power Age, the band's fourth UK release, released in 1978. This is the version. It doesn't have Rock and Roll Damnation on it. It's sort of like the original version. Probably got a couple of my favourite tracks, AC/DC tracks, Riff Raff and Sin City on here. And as a record, this really is a sort of hard rocking record. Unfortunately, it didn't do particularly well, especially in the States for them. They sort of built up on the following they had. But this was the last album for the time to feature be produced by Vanda and Young. Highway to Hell, the next album released in '79, was the first album with Mutt Lange. Album picked up last week. I haven't listened to it yet. This is Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare. 75, and this, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, sort of signifies that Alice Cooper was no longer the band. Alice Cooper, the figure, the front man, and it's got on tracks on here. Probably best known is Only Women Bleed and Department of Youth. So I'm looking forward to giving that a listen. Being from Birmingham, or just outside of Birmingham, we've got to make room for a little bit of Sabbath. Managed to pick up, have a good listen to Masters of Reality, the band's third album. This is a reissue on the NEMS label. Sweet Leaf, Children of the Grave, probably the best known tracks on here. Really enjoyable album. I think it took it on a step from Paranoid. And then, as well as listening to Masters Reality, managed to find time to listen to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Again, this is a NEMS reissue. This is from 1982, and this is not the gatefold. This is just a single. There's a mark on the record, but it didn't affect the playing. Again, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Spiral Architect, just great tracks. Oh, and the poppier vein of the metal world, I picked up, listened to Europe's Out of This World. This, as the sticker says, is issued on red vinyl. Don't normally go out my way to purchase colour vinyl, but it was only a couple of quid, and I thought I'll give that a home. Follow up to Final Countdown, probably more complete rocking record as compared to that. Superstitious, Open Your Heart, Let Good Times Rock. Some good songs on here. It's actually an album I haven't not listened to for a long while. It's actually stood up well, stood the test of time. Bit of a curio I found is this. This is the debut album from Gillan. Now this came out in 1978, and at the time of release, it was only available in, I think it was Japan, Australia, and New Zealand. This is an Australian copy. And effectively, really, Gillan was just himself and Colin Towns. John McCoy had joined as well. And you got Steve Bird on guitar and on playing Liam Gonski, I think that's how you pronounce it, was the drummer on the record. But in fact, Pete Barnacle ended up playing the drums for the tour. Then next year he'd signed to, I think, Acrobat Records, and they released Mr. Universe, which got him some chart action. Girlschool Screaming Blue Murder, their third album, released in 1982. Features the first album to feature Jill Weston on bass. She replaced Enid Williams, who had left or stroke fired. I don't think she left. I don't think. This, I think, listening to it was certainly aimed more at trying to crack the States for the band. The title track's good. Yeah, so some good moments on here. I prefer Hit and Run, their second album, but not a bad album. Found this. This is a reissue of Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, which you probably all note. Obviously, the first reissue, just after the band really broke in the UK, they reissued the album without the infamous original sleeve. One of those, you're talking at least 20-30 quid a copy, probably even more. I've seen one go for being advertised for £40. There's not really much I can say about this album. This is just a classic rock album and gave rock a really good kick up the backside in '87 when it came out. Obviously, Sweet Child of Mine is the best known track on there, but you've got Welcome to the Jungle. I don't think there really is a Duff. It's one of those albums where you struggle to find a Duff track on here. Pleased to find a copy of that. And another curio I found a 12-inch copy of Freebirds, a picture disc. This is a single that was reissued. I'm trying to think when. It might be 1982 or something like that. So you've got Freebird in all its glory, the full-length version. And on the B-side, obviously, you've got the flag there, the Confederate flag, and that's got Sweet Home Alabama and Double Trouble. So not a bad little purchase. I was quite happy to pick that up. Then another album I was pleased to pick up. It's an album I used to have as a kid. I played it to death. It's this Kiss Destroyer. I was actually listening to it on my iPod on my way home tonight. Actually, it gave me the idea to record this video. The band's fourth album, really hot on the success of the Alive album. This is an album that's Bob Ezrin produced. Detroit Rock City, Kingdom of Nighttime, World, God of Thunder, Great Expectations, Flaming Youth, Sweet Pain, Shouted Out Loud, Beth, and Do You Love Me. As you can see, it says it's a priceless. It's one of these mid-price reissues, and the big difference is on this. That's at the end of Do You Love Me. It doesn't have that little, not tape loop, but that little track at the end of it. It just, when the track Do You Love Me fades out, that's the end of the album. Still not complaining. Then I got a copy of the best of the solo albums. This is German, but you can tell by the double S. So side one, you've got Ace Frehley's best 3 tracks of the album. It's basically 3 tracks of each of the solo albums. So Ace Frehley's New York Groove, Rip It Out, Speeding Back to My Baby. Peter Criss, You Matter to Me, Tossing and Turning, Hooked on Rock and Roll. Then side 2, Gene Simmons, Radioactive, Mr. Make Believe and See It in Your Dreams. And then Paul Stanley, Tonight You Belong to Me, Move On, Hold Me, Touch Me. And then you've got the sort of the back catalogue on there. I'm pleased to pick that up and have a listen. Nice album. Magnum, this is Marauder album. This is their live album, recorded at the Marquee, 1979, released in 1980. Yeah, it's not a bad little album. I'm more familiar with their 80s stuff than I probably am with their 70s. It's probably the first time I'd ever listened to this album. There are a couple of albums of theirs, Kingdom, Magnum 2, Kingdom of Madness I wouldn't mind getting hold of. But yeah, really pleased. Not a bad live album. And you get that intimate club atmosphere from the fact it's the Marquee. Gary Moore's Wild Frontier. This came out in 1987, I believe. It's fresh on success, with Out in the Fields, with Phil Lynott. This is sort of like rock, very 80s rock metal album. Got Over the Hills, Far Away was the lead single. And you got a version of Friday on My Mind. I believe there is actually no drummer on this. This is a drum machine play is on here. It might explain a few things. It is very much an 80s, as I said, an 80s rock album. This was recorded after Phil Lynott died, and on the bottom left-hand corner you just might make out for Philip. They had fallen out, but they became friends again at the time of recording Out in the Field. So yeah, Gary Moore. Then I've got listening to a fair bit of Motorhead, Overkill. My second copy of this, I found an original copy, which is a Dirty Greek scratch on side 2, but this is much cleaner. Original copy. Yeah, obviously, Overkill, such an influential metal track, particularly with the Thrash, Stay Clean, No Class, Metropolis, Capricorn, all basically standard for the live show. And then, talking of live, if you're going to have one live metal album, you might as well have this. No Sleep to Hammersmith. Whoever had this originally sort of customised the album sleeve by putting some stickers onto it, and I haven't took them off because I just think things like this just add to the charm. I'm not really don't buy records for the value of it. It's more for the music. And again, as a kid, I had this album, played it to death. I played it a lot. I don't think I need to go on any more about this album. It's just a corking album. In '82, they followed it up with Iron Fist, and while it's okay, you compare that to Ace of Spades, it's really is a bit. I just think the sort of the direction the band lost it a little bit. I saw the tour, and I have to say it's probably the worst. I have said this is the worst gig I'd ever been to, was Motorhead, Iron Fist. They'd spent. Let me put this back in the. The budget had gone really on the stage show. It didn't help that the support band Tank had really wound the crowd up a bit. And I think when it came on, it was like they were trying to blame the bouncers, whatever. They weren't getting the audience response. The audience weren't really up for it. And in fact, they didn't even play. When they did finish the song, they didn't play Bomber. They just did the end and then did Motorhead, and they were off. But you could then sense there was tension within the band. It was only when, obviously, just a few months after this, Eddie Clarke left the band, that you sort of sensed what was going wrong with the band. And I also actually listened to this. This is On Parole. Now, when Lemmy got sacked from Hawkwind, he's still under contract with United Artists, so he formed his band Motorhead, and they recorded the album. It basically was rejected, and he got slung off the label. When Motorhead became famous, this came out originally. I'm trying to think when about 1981, I think it might be 1981, and then this is a Fame reissue. So you've got here on the album Motorhead, Iron Horse, Born to Lose, and Leaving Here, which ended up on the live EP. Lost Johnny, it's another Hawkwind song, and if you see asterisk, Lost Johnny features the original drummer Lucas Fox on drums. So nice to have, just as a bit of a completist. Another album I was pleased to have been listening to. I've had this on cassette and I've had it on CD. Now I've got a vinyl copy. Diary of a Madman, Ozzy Osbourne. I brought this originally in '82. It came out in '81. It's pretty much recorded at the same time as the debut album. Even though I tried to make out that it wasn't. It was a separate album, but putting in different members in. But that don't matter. It's just a great album. Randy, I think he really showcases how good a guitarist Randy Rhoads was. What a loss his premature death was. Over the Mountain, Fly High again. Tonight's favourite mine off the album. It's one of these albums I really love. So pleased to have that. Another Curio fan was the picture disc of Saxon's Power and the Glory. This came out this is the band's 5th album. Came out in 1983. You got Power and the Glory. The song Eagle has Landed was appeared on here as well. There you go. Yeah, so it was only a pound. It was only a pound because picture discs aren't that great for quality. It's okay. I enjoyed listening to it. Just play. So happy to find that. Then I mentioned about Gary Moore. He appears on this album as well. This is called Remembering Thin Lizzy Part 1. Thin Lizzy Remembering Part 1. It features the original lineup, Eric Bell, but it also features Gary Moore on here as well. And I'm trying to think which songs he appears on. Yes, I'm trying to think which, and it's difficult because I can't find which songs he's on. Oh well, not to worry. But this is where Thin Lizzy were on Decca, and it includes whiskey. It doesn't include whiskey on the. It does include whiskey on the jar. I haven't listened to this yet. I have to bear in mind. And it's the rocker. When Eric Bell left the band and Phil Lynott just decided to start again, and basically all the early stuff that just as they recorded as a trio just got binned, and they started again with the twin guitar. So very pleased to pick that because original albums from Thin Lizzy are damn expensive. Twisted Sister, You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. Their debut album on the Atlantic Records. They did have an album out on the independent label in 1998, the previous year, which Pete Wade produced. But I remember such the excitement. Saw them on the Tube, which was a pop music program in '82, and I just blew everyone off stage. Dee Snider had that presence, and Mick, also appearing on the show was Mick Jones from Foreigner, and he sort of was that impressed. He went to Atlantic, his label Atlantic, said, "You've got to sign these guys," and they did, and they recorded the album, and their hit single "I Am I Me" got them on top of the pops, and I could just remember everyone just talking about it. Because obviously it's been a long time since you had a metal band with on the telly, something heavily made up. It was just one of those moments. In the UK, they didn't match the success of this album, but obviously went on to bigger and better things in the States. British band, Tigers Pang Tang. This is Crazy Nights. I've got it. I won't get it out. It's the album, but there's also a bonus 12-inch. The cover's in quite a poor state, so I've got it. I'm trying to think when this came out because it doesn't tell me. It won't tell me until I get it out. Not bad. But it came out a new album. I think it was '81. This might have came out. It's got John Sykes on guitar, and you've got John Deverell on vocals. Yeah. Bad album. Then a band I've been meaning to get more of and listen to. I've got Van Halen. This is Fair Warning, their 4th album. Not as overtly commercial as probably the first 3 albums. There isn't a standout commercial track on this. Still some good songs on here. And then they followed it up with Diver Down, which is just literally packed full of singles. Wherever All Good Times Gone, Oh Pretty Woman, very much a commercial album. Diver Down is apparently the flag to say Divers Down. That's what the cover's from. And then moving on, I listened to OU812, came out in '88, the second album to feature, Sammy Hagar on vocals. How Can This Be Love was the hit single in the UK. I find it very difficult to get on with Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. To me, it's just Dave Lee Roth. they had more of a show, more of a pizzazz with David Lee Roth in it. Sammy Hagar, competent singer, competent guitarist. Got a couple of his solo albums, but I just don't think it was quite. To me, it didn't quite feel the same. But no doubt you're going to tell me I'm wrong, so don't mind. And then Wasp, Headless Children. I brought this. I found this in a cheap bin, primarily because I did like their version of The Who's Real Me and Forever Free. I think I remember seeing the video to that on Top of the Pops. Not a band that I'd overtly go out and buy. Probably this is about the only thing I've ever really owned by them. But it ain't too bad. It's not offensive or anyway. Excuse me. Almost done. Found this for £1. This is White Lion's Big Game. I haven't listened to this yet. I'm aware of the band. I think they're very popular in the States. Mike Tramp, I think, was from Denmark. Correct me if I'm wrong. I do see they do a version of Radar Love, so I'd be curious to find out what that sounds like. And then, coming up to the last batch, Whitesnake, Ready or Willing. This came out in 1980. It's got original Fool for Your Loving, which was a top 20 hit single for them in the UK. Ready, the title track I know, Ain't Gonna Cry No More. Pleased to find that. And then you've got Saints and Sinners. This came out in 1982. Now, the band lineup recorded Saints and Sinners as well. But basically what happened was money problems and people weren't getting paid, and so I think Bernie Marsden, who wrote Here I Go Again, co-wrote Here I Go Again with David Coverdale, he left. Ian Pace and Neil Murray got better offers from Gary Moore. I think Mick Moody even left, but he was persuaded to come back to put the band together. So Cozy Powell ended up being the drummer for the tour. I think Colin Hodgkinson as the bass player, and Mel Galley from Trapeze was the guitarist on here. Ended up being the guitarist for the tour. Not a bad album. It's got original versions of Crying in the Rain and Here I Go Again, as I mentioned. Young, Rough and Ready. It's a million miles away from what Whitesnake ended up as. And this is the final album I'm going to show you. This is 1987, where you've got re-recorded versions of Crying in the Rain, and on here, the one thing you don't have on this album is you don't have Here I Go Again. That was put on the CD version, and there was a different version for the single. The video showed the if I remember, the slow intro. The single version just crashed in with the guitar, and that appeared on the CD only. This is one of the things that were trying to get people to buy CDs. And you put an extra track on, and that was for Here I Go Again. Ended up on the CD. I've got the CD. I've got an original CD of this, but it's nice to have the vinyl as well. Still of the Night, Bad Boys. It's an album of his time. It featured John Sykes on guitar, Neil Murray and Ainsley Dunbar. But I think there were issues with Coverdale's voice, and John Sykes got fed up and left, and I think Neil Murray left as well. Ainsley Dunbar got rid, and basically Coverdale just recruited a band, Tommy Aldridge, Really Sarzo, Vivian Campbell and Adrian Vandenberg, and ended up doing the tour, very much Coverdale's sideman. So that was the rock and metal I've been listening to, hard rock and metal I've been listening to for the past few months. I hope you liked what I've shown. If you did, and you've stumbled across the channel for the first time, click on the subscribe button. A couple of people have. It's 235, so I'm happy with that. Happy how things ticking up. Thumbs up, thumbs down. If you I love the interactions. If you want to put a comment on, feel free to do so, because I will always reply to my comments. So, VC, it has been a long one. I've seen it's over 25 minutes. So, I'll go now. Take care of yourselves. Keep spinning. But most importantly, keep smiling and keep on rocking.